Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's Board of Selectmen meeting. We ask everyone to join us in pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Obviously, our chairman is not here tonight. One of her grandsons is playing a football game, and she's the nearest grandmother to root the team on to victory. So we wish them the best of luck tonight. And I would like to move that when we adjourn tonight, we do so in honor and memory of a couple of citizens of the town who recently passed away, George Green and Joanne Farmer.
I'll second that.
And just say that both of them are long-standing citizens of the town, and they will be missed by all. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the approval of the treasurer's warrants, the payroll warrants for October 18th, October 25th, and November 1st.
I move that we approve the payroll warrants of October 18, 2019, October 25, 2019, and November 1st, 2019.
Second that.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Accounts payable warrants for October 22nd, 29th, and November 5th, 2019.
I move that we approve accept the accounts payable warrants for October 22nd, 2019, October 29, 2019, and November 5, 2019.
Second. All those in favor? Third on our minutes, approval of the minutes for October 15th, 2019. Any errors, omissions, corrections?
I move that we approve the minutes of October 15th, 2019.
Second it.
All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. We have no special presentations or award. Committee appointments.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take all 7 at once if we could.
All right.
Do you have to read the motion?
Do you want to read them all?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay. Colleen, I don't have my glasses, I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now that I have glasses, I get
Oh.
that. So I make a motion to appoint Colleen Gillum to the Cooper DePerry Scholarship Committee, Betsy Kyle to Appearance of the Town Committee, Peter Wells to the Budget Committee, Peter Gagnon to the Historic Preservation Commission, Dan Watts to the Budget Committee, Sherry Dunbar to the Budget Committee, and Brad Settleton to the Appearance of the Town Committee.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor? This is unanimous. Thank you. 6, public hearing. At the request of one of the applicants, we are going to postpone this public hearing for 2 weeks. At which time we will pick this up and carry on. That will be the 19th. November 19th. Okay. 7, public comment. At each regular selectmen's meeting, there will be time devoted to any resident or taxpayer of the town to address the selectmen regarding any item that is not on the agenda for that meeting. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person. There will be a 30-minute maximum. Anyone wish to address the board?
Ed Polovarsik, Wiscasset. Approximately 15 years ago, a man came to Wiscasset and proposed the Point East project at the Mason Station. The project was never completed. Some say that the problem was the real estate market collapse. Others say the project was not adequately financed. For years, Wiscasset struggled to get taxes paid. With Point East, we should have learned a really valuable lesson. Wiscasset can get hurt with some of these projects by simply not doing adequate due diligence. Today, Synergy and its parent, VAP Power, has come to town offering a lease income, a substantial lease income to the town over a long period of time, and reduced electric rates to its subscribers. I'd like to offer 3 suggestions to the board. First, the select board should evaluate Synergy and VAP, its parent, financial conditions. I would suggest you request at least 5 years of financial data, including income statements and balance sheets. The question really is how is this company characterized? Is this a startup company? Is it a young company? How long has it been operating with a profit, if it has? How much debt does it have? In essence, perform a complete financial analysis of the company. The question is this company likely to complete this project and in doing so actually make a profit? I'd like it not to be half done and people walk away, much like we did down at Mason Station. Second, I would suggest you review the company's existing projects. If you look at the internet and you look up at the company, the largest facility that they've completed to date was 3 megawatts. This is 3 times that size, it's 10 megawatts. I'm not sure that it has done anything this large before. So please, get data on existing projects. Where are they located, which states, which towns? Where are they located in the towns? Are they all at airports? Are they in rural areas? Let's understand some of these other projects. More importantly is, what has been the total cost of the project? Has it become financially profitable for these towns? And from a business standpoint, what is the projected payback for these periods? These systems are expensive. They need to get that capitalization back in a certain period of time and begin to earn their profit. How have they made out in previous projects? And finally, is the current projects actually profitable? How long did it take to get to be profitable? Review some of those other lease agreements and contracts. How did the residents actually benefit? What was the impact on the town? And how did the residents feel about the projects? That was the second thing. Evaluate some of their projects. Third thing is this project here. The question is, what is the timeline for this project? How long will it take just to get federal permits, planning board approvals, prepare the site, install the equipment, get it all checked out and operating? What is the total project costs? And more importantly, how will it be financed? If this is a $15 million project, how are they going to accommodate those costs and actually make the project a success? Is this the best location for the airport? In Wiscasset, not for the airport, for this project. We have other options. Main Yankee, there's a nearby connection right there to the grid, if they were to be located at Main Yankee, or even up at the landfill. There's unused property that cannot be used for anything else. That's another option, and I don't know that we've, or the company has considered any of these other options. What energy will be produced? We hear the term 10 megawatts, well that's power, that's not energy. A 10 megawatt facility continuously operating will generate enough energy to produce power, to produce energy for 1/3 to 1/2 of Lincoln County. But a solar system cannot operate continuously. So what energy will we really see? How will the residents benefit? If half of their power is from Synergy and the other half on the grid, do they see half their energy at a reduced cost, or a third, or a fifth? How does it really benefit the residents? And finally, I guess one of the more important things is the details of the lease agreement. How does Wiscasset benefit? Is it only from the lease rate, or are there other opportunities from here? 3 things then. Look at the company and its financial condition, look at its previous experience with other projects, and finally, learn about this project in great detail. Any questions?
Yeah, actually, you've been looking into this Is there any reason why they keep going to public lands as opposed to private lands?
I can't, listen, I don't know. I would expect it's cheaper for them with a lease rather than it is to buy property. They don't need the additional capital.
Yeah, and there are some private business type projects. I got a list. I certainly can let you-
My real concern is that Wiscasset might get hurt by this. Because we lived with trying to fix the Point East Village at Mason Station for years and struggled with the taxes for years. And I'm not sure what we'll all get into here, but please do some due diligence. And if I leave you with anything, it's a thought that in God we trust, all others bring data. And please make decisions based on verifiable data. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure we all agree with your point of view on that. Anyone else wish to address the board?
Would you like a little daffodil report this one?
Certainly.
I'm very, very pleased to announce that we did indeed plant 2020 bulbs today, and Sslect and Ryan, I'm pleased to note that you were there helping plant.
I had a blast, and I thank you. And
You did a good job.
I think this is
I
a
saw
very
your technique. You knew what you were
project
doing.
for the town.
And I have to just say one more thing, and that is there are a lot of heroes in this room, but one really big hero to me, especially today, is Ted Snowden, the chairman of the Public Works Department, and I want to thank him publicly. He and his volunteers were absolutely superb in punching holes in the ground in an amazingly short amount of time, and they got it all done.
And very well done, and all synchronized, and
It was
excellent.
It was, well, it really was. You could appreciate everything they did. Thank you, Terry.
Anyone else? If not, we'll go on to 8, Department Head or Committee Chair, Richard Forrest, Waterfront Committee.
Your waterfront committee would like you to consider the addition of slips for boats on the waterfront as a way to increase the revenue generated on the waterfront and to provide access for people wanting boats to be tied up on a seasonal basis. The reason for the concept is because in the recent past, other projects that we have recommended went nowhere for the lack of funding. And we can appreciate that. And in this particular case, what we'd like to do is to pursue some funding. The first step would be an engineering study to determine what the proper, or at least a couple of options, what the proper layout for slips would be to minimize impact on the waterfront and also to maintain the present dock surface area that we have. If that's approved, then I know it's unusual for committee members to do fundraising, but if we got that far with it, based on that engineering study, we would present that to you for your pleasure as to which option to choose. Based on that, we would go further into additional funding for the construction and implementation of the plan. And that, in a nutshell, is what we're requesting from you, if you see fit. The sketch that I made is just a concept only, to give you an idea of what slips might be. In Bristol, South Bristol, they get $1,000 a season for a tie-up. And whether we'd be able to achieve that $1,000 mark, we don't know at this point.
Do we need to make a motion, or can we just?
Well, how much are you talking about dollar-wise for the study itself?
We have no idea. We haven't pursued anything because if you as a committee or as a select board don't like the idea of slips or to pursue this endeavor, then we weren't going to do any further work. At each step of the way, we would present that information to you. Just as general interest, permitting and installation of that sketch of 13 slips was estimated to be $150,000 by Proc Engineering. So the engineering phase would be considerably less. But I have no idea because we haven't pursued it, because we don't want to get thoroughly involved in it and then find out, gee, that's really not what we want on the waterfront.
Well, at $150,000, you lost my interest. No question about it.
Yeah, but I think that it makes sense to have them pursue funding for a study. Like that's what you're asking permission to do now.
Yes, as the first
That's
step.
in our memo, the committee would like to pursue funding for a marine engineering study. I mean, why not?
Well, if the study's gonna come back and tell us it's gonna cost $150,000,
What if it doesn't?
But
You know what I mean?
then-
Like, we don't know, he doesn't know.
But then our objective would be to achieve funding for that.
If we had boat slips down there, it never made sense to me since
there-
I
that
moved to
there
this
wasn't-
town that we don't have slips.
Yep.
People are, all over the place, are looking for a place to put their boat for the season. I mean, you see them up and down river towns. I think it makes a lot of sense. We have this wonderful waterfront, we should maximize it. This could be just one step towards all the other big ideas that we've talked about over the years, like reopening White's Island and building the little boardwalk thingy between the piers. It's always like, well, where are we going to get the revenue? This is actually,
Generated revenue.
thank you, yeah.
Dick, as far as the people that fish down there, is that gonna affect them doing their tying up and
Actually-
loading their boats?
Actually, they could rent slips if they chose to fish off that location.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be open to anybody unless you decided against that. And if we got the engineering study and you didn't like the price, we could stop the whole thing right there. The idea is to do this work without it costing the town anything. If that's possible, that's what we would like to achieve. If it's not, then you can stop us at any point.
Yeah, I love it.
Is there any way the planner that is now the Lincoln County planner, that we paid a portion of the services of a planner, would that person be of any use?
It'd be the logical place to start. I mean,
Yeah.
there are grants for
Well,
small
that's what
boards
I'm
on our.
thinking, grants and,
There are several places. Island Institute provides some
Yeah,
funding
right.
for working waterfronts, and that's what this is. I guess there are some avenues for funding, and that would be our objective if you decided, let's go
well, we
ahead.
do, the town does have access to the use of the services of the town planner, of the planner, county planner.
Well, our objective is to not cost the town anything.
Well,
If
we've
that's
already paid for it, so the money was in the budget for the use of that person's services. So I don't know, I don't see why that would be, I mean,
No reason not to start the process.
well worth a shot, I think.
I'd like to
Because the
make a
waterfront
motion.
has got to be, something's got to be done with it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Dick's plan for looking into the engineering portion of the slips down the waterfront.
Second.
I'm gonna vote against this. If we were gonna spend that kind of money on the waterfront, I would rather take it and apply it to somehow get an access to White's Island. I think that is much more valuable to the town than this.
Well, maybe we could take that on as a project, I'm not sure. We'd have to,
That would,
So with the
so that,
committee.
as we talked before, that would be my first priority. I think that is a gem just waiting to happen,
All right,
and we
well-
need to do something.
I'll take that as a direction that we will proceed in committee and to see what
Well, that's up
progress
to
we can
the
make
rest
on
of the board,
that.
I mean.
Because we do come to you for direction.
All right, all those in favor of the motion? Opposed?
Can I just make one more comment?
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love this idea, and I love that the waterfront committee is tirelessly working to improve our downtown and our waterfront. Thank you so much. You guys do a ton of work, and you've come before the board and been sent out many times, and here you still are. What grit and resilience. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dick.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda is the unfinished business CMP streetlight proposal. Update.
At the last selectmen's meeting, I brought this up. CMP, at my request, talked about what they could offer for a program. And I got some information, got some feedback. In fact, at the last meeting, somebody asked about the LED lights, what kind of color would they be? And I did have an answer. They went with, CMP went with 3000 Kelvin, which is a warm white color, a little brighter than the sodium fixtures that we normally use. That bulb gives off a soft white glow, often yellow in appearance, and has become the standard for outdoor lighting. Anything higher can create a harsh glare, making it difficult to see clearly at night. So I think that addressed the concern of that person. With CMP evaluated our current usage, and if they install and own the LEDs and maintain them, we'd save about $13,000 a year. There is another project out there, and people are gathering information from other towns within the county and elsewhere. In that particular case, my understanding is we'd have to buy the lights, we'd have to have a separate service contract, and my inclination, unless the financial advantages are substantially greater, my inclination would be to stay with the people who are always working on the poles and can do the service. Like the idea of keeping track of equipment and installation and disposing and so on and so forth of the existing lights doesn't appeal to me. However, the dollar savings on some other way might convince me. That's where we are. I'm sort of going back and forth with these other towns.
Thank you, John.
I'd like to comment.
Yes.
I'm Ann Leslie, and I just want to say that 2 years ago, and some of you were here, but some of you weren't, the Conservation Commission brought this issue before the Board of Selectmen because we were learning about a lot of other Maine towns who were transitioning to owning their own streetlights, and it seemed like a really good idea, but at the time the town manager wasn't interested enough to pursue it. Towns often group together to get the best price. And I hear there's some kind of work going on among other Lincoln County towns to look into this with a contractor called Affinity. And I wish Wiscasset would become involved in that, because when I read the list of other towns that have done it, from Falmouth to Freeport to Wells to Holton to Presque Isle, it sounds like it could be a really good money saver for us. And it would certainly align with my interest in conservation, but also it also sounds like it could be a good decision for Wiscasset from a business point of view. And I know Maine Municipal Association made a very convincing presentation at around that time in 2017, sort of outlining what towns have to do. At that time, there was one contractor, Real Term, that was doing most of the towns in Maine, and now apparently there's this other contractor, Affinity. But I would say if somebody else, if some other towns that are neighboring to ours are wanting to group together and look into this, we should do it for the same reason that we should find out about the slips, because then we can make a informed decision about what's best. And I think CMP is sort of jumping into the game because they realize that towns are beginning to take ownership of their own streetlights for much less cost. So I would really recommend that we look at some other offers as well. And it's an exciting time, the idea of, I understand your concern about being responsible for maintenance. I think that would be another reason to talk to other towns and see how it's going, because this isn't a new idea anymore. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think that's what you suggested, wasn't it, John? That you were going to look into it.
Will you bring that information back to us, like what these other, which neighboring towns are doing it and what the,
That was thought as one.
will you bring info
one-
back to us? Okay.
Very good. Yes, Marty?
Additionally, Waldeboro did it about the same time we were looking into it, so I'm not sure which way they went, but it is a good option, and instead of paying CMP to lease deals are not necessarily the greatest. Yeah, you might have to pay a little bit more up front, but long-term, you probably end up saving money, and that's why a lot of these towns are doing it. Ann and I surveyed the town a couple of years ago, and we realized that about 50% of the lights are outside the downtown district. And if you want to save 50% on your bill, we should try to find a way to, we did present this to the town manager at the time, and it went nowhere. So I don't know what the procedure is to do that, but Ann has a list of what we accumulated. Good way to learn the town. So, here again.
Yep, we'll give it to him, he's gonna look it up. Thank you, Mike. All right, new business, main art gallery lease. I would ask the manager, is there any change on this lease from the last one?
Well, obviously, the last one was a 5-year lease, $1 a year. It's been very much a standard lease for many, many years. And it seems to have worked pretty well. We have to maintain the outside certainly, that the art gallery people have to have responsibility for the grounds, and some of the work, as Mr. Pope would probably explain in more detail, some of the work inside would be their responsibility. They do reimburse us for the cost of the building insurance. And beyond that, I think some of the bushes that Ted is going to have to cut, I think really, when I read the lease, should be done, the one beside the wall. But beyond that, I don't have, I know there are questions about how much should be charged, but
No, I think it's a good lease, I just wondered if there were any changes from last time.
that's worth the word.
Well, I move that we grant this lease for another 5 years at $1 a year.
Second?
Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor? Excellent, thank you. Next, board representation on Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission.
There was a request from Mary Ellen Barnes that one of the selectmen might be interested, and without too much arm twisting, on my left is Mr. Sslect, who would be willing to do it.
I'll second that.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Very good. It's getting late.
We'll find us some arms.
All right, town managers report.
Wait, do we have to make a motion on that, or no?
Do we?
It says on
You
the-
should,
Yeah, all right, I'll move that we appoint Jeff Slack to the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained?
Right,
Now you're
right.
That's the way to do it. Excellent, all right. Number 11, town managers report.
We got a short correspondence from the American Legion flag program, and basically they're looking for donations. The town generally puts forward $600 a year, so they thank the selectmen for that and the budget committee, and it's a worthy cause, and those that might like to step up a little bit. They found another grave actually, unexpectedly, and Ted groomed it up to the appropriate standard, so that was kind of nice. And how many cemeteries do we have in the town?
18.
18.
Wow.
A lot of work and a lot of veterans with the extra attention there, so that's my comment on that one. I think at this point everyone's aware of the threat that caused the high school, the middle high school to go down for a day. There was what was considered to be a credible bomb threat. Fortunately, it wasn't followed up on. They identified the person that had actually written it. So that's that. We're all very concerned about the security of our citizens, particularly the young children. We have, the next item is the Spirit of America Awards. That'll be November 7th, which is Thursday. It's a nationwide organization, and it asks cities and municipalities to recommend individuals or a group for recognition. And usually what happens is a larger entity, in this case Lincoln County, will host a celebration or awards, and we have some designated. I forget, Julie Flanagan. What's the name of the group? She's gone.
It's Family Wishes, we jokingly call ourselves
Okay. That's the group.
gray-haired elves.
Gray-haired.
But it was pointed out to me by one of the elves that she's a blonde.
Oh. All right, that's good to know.
I've got it on the record
You got
now.
it right. Anyway, 4 o'clock over in the Communication Center in Lincoln County. Okay. Next item, unless anybody wants to dwell on that. Next item. If you recollect, when DOT is working on the roads, the municipality has the responsibility to check that all the wet wells and such like are in good enough condition to be paved over. And I think you know the one downtown. We've got a substantial bill, $33,175. That's for the work that's down there. I did manage to push off the billing date until July of next year. So that means different budget year. That's a good thing. And the other one on the Wiscasset Woolwich project, longer stretch of road. I think something like 29 sewer manhole covers have to be pulled up. Bigger bill on that, $61,500. It's based on the cost of doing the necessary repairs. And someone from DOT and Rick Gate were down there last week and they pulled them all off. And based on the condition that they found, they estimated different amounts. It's on the municipality. $61,500. And we won't get a bill till December of 2021. And again, I worked on that. I didn't quite cry, but I thought I was persuasive. So I'm pleased, I can't get money.
You've been all right.
Huh?
You could have.
Well, it doesn't make any
Since we don't
difference.
have the money in the bank.
The best I could do
at the
was
moment.
best I could get was deferred payment, so that pushes it into subsequent budget years, gives us time to hopefully find out what we need. On the Parks and Recreation Director interviews with 7 applicants, and tomorrow I'll be making an offer to one. And until that happens,
Very good.
I'll update you next time around, if that's okay. That's that one. And then we have an update on holiday decorating. There's probably somebody in the audience that might be able to step forward and inform us.
Somebody.
Some, special, right?
Mr. Chairman, I did take an update on the cost for the decorations to the town manager, and he fell down, and he didn't like to look at that $1,922 estimate. I shaved a little bit off of that. I got it down to $1,852. You haven't seen that estimate yet. And then a miracle happened. And I would like to recognize the president of the Garden Club of Wiscasset.
Good evening, I'm Beth
Good evening.
Maxwell,
Hi,
I'm
Beth.
Garden Club of Wiscasset president. We voted at our board meeting on yesterday that the Garden Club of Wiscasset would buy the garlands for the decorating downtown. So that the town won't have to pay for the garland.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
That's
much.
wonderful.
And thank you for asking.
well over $700 and could actually have been a little bit more. So that has brought down the cost to the town a great deal. I have a few more details to work out with the town manager, but if we could just proceed and buy some of these items, we can get on down the road.
Fine with me?
Of course.
Yes, do what you need to do.
That sounds great.
I have confidence you'll do a great job. I do, I mean it.
I've asked it, well, thank you very much. Appreciate your confidence.
Okay. Up on the agenda, assessors business. Abatement for Vincent and Mary Favello, map R7, lot 20-5-8 for $398. Ronald Tipcomb and Shirley Helms, trustees, Ronald Tipcomb, Living Trust, MR1, lot 25 for $23.
And, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to take both at the same time.
So,
Second that?
all those in favor?
Yep.
You go to approve both.
Yes,
Yes.
approve both, sorry.
Is there any other business to come before the board?
I don't have any post-it notes.
I can push the air.
I would like to mention that this morning.
Go ahead.
Just something that came from Maine Municipal. They got an elected officials workshop Thursday, December 19 in Augusta. It's from, unfortunately, 4:30 in the afternoon to 8:30, which to me sounds late and dark, but it's there.
They feed you though, right?
They do.
I did the workshop once and I drove really far away, but there was some food.
It does say like a light meal, half an hour before. Anyway, just for information. And that's all I have.
Any other business to come before the board? No.
It's only
It
6:35.
is, my God, it's really, isn't it?
What the?
I would only point out that next Monday is Veterans Day, and I encourage everyone to show up to the 9 o'clock services, rain or shine.
Thank you.
With that, I would, that's all. I've entertained a motion to adjourn.
Did you want to make a motion on closing the meeting? Or
That's taken care of.
that you get? Second.
All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Right.